Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and
Joel. Okay, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Orange Julius Joel and Koala Katrina.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hi.
Orange Julius. Oh man, I miss those.
Yeah. Okay, so was there an Orange Julius like at Arden Fair or like the Sunrise Mall? Yeah, there used to be. Okay, so was it with a Dairy Queen?
A Dairy Queen?
No.
Yeah. No? It was just by itself?
No, it was just by itself. Yeah.
Okay. Because ours...
Does Dairy Queen own Orange Julius?
I think they're owned by the
Really?
same people. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
wow.
they're usually a tandem in a mall.
I'd never seen that
Yeah.
before.
Usually.
I've actually never really even seen Dairy Queen in a mall.
Oh, yeah.
Like Baskin Robbins, but not Dairy Queen.
Yeah, back in like the 90s. Yeah, look it up. It's a
Man.
fact.
All right. Well, come on, Dairy Queen, bring
What's
back
the
Orange
fact?
Julius.
So today we're going to talk about Scream.
Yes.
The original Scream. We're going to start doing some Scream films leading up to the new one, which is also called Scream.
Scream, yeah.
Or Scream 5. This one's from 1996. Joel, who do we got?
All right. So we got Neve Campbell as our leading lady. She was in The Craft, Wild Things, and Party of Five way back in the day.
Yeah.
And we got Courtney Cox. She was in the Masters of the Universe movie back in the 80s.
Okay.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. 3,000 Miles to Graceland. And, of course, Friends. That's where most people know her from.
And Bedtime Stories.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, she's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. We got David Arquette. He was in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. Not the show. The movie that came before the show.
Okay.
Eight-Legged Freaks and Ready to Rumble.
Yeah, Ready to Rumble. WCW.
As well as one episode of Friends.
Right.
And this was written by Kevin Williamson. He also wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer, the screenplay. The Faculty, the screenplay. And he is the creator of Dawson's Creek.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got directed by Wes Craven. And he's directed... I'm going to be, obviously naming these guys for the next, few movies here. So, I'm going to be talking... I'm not going to be repeating movies on here. So, we got The Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, the original. Last House on the Left is also original. And A Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right.
So
cool. Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, he has been. Definitely.
Okay, so Scream. Synopsis. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl is terrorized by a new killer who targets the girl and her friends by using horror films as part of a deadly game. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
So this one came out in 1996. Did you guys see this, like, when it came out, around that time? Or were you older?
When did I see this? So we had rented it. I didn't watch this when it first came out. We had rented it, and my sister had like a sleepover kind of thing, and so they rented Scream, and that was the first time I watched it. I think I was in middle school, maybe. Yeah, I think I was in middle school when I watched it first.
Okay. What about you?
So I did watch it when it first came out because that was when I was 11, and I watched it well, I guess not when it first came out. I watched it right I watched it for my birthday, my 12th birthday.
Okay.
And so right around when it came out.
On like VHS or something, or
yeah,
theaters?
we had a sleepover, and I
Okay.
remember watching that and Fear.
All right, awesome. So what I remember most about this movie and like this time was it was like a big deal if your parents let you watch Scream. I remember that being like you were the cool kid, you know, if your parents let you watch Scream. And so I was not able to watch it at first until my parents had seen it and screamed it. And
Screamed it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this is the first like real horror film that I ever saw. Pretty sure.
Okay.
So, and then I loved it. And then this movie is responsible for who I am today. So yeah, you can thank Scream for how I am.
All right.
And I think it definitely took a turn as you got into some of the other movies, especially Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween is responsible as well.
For a big turn in events.
So if Halloween's your number one horror movie, this should be your number two then, right?
We did our
Both
list.
of these
I want to
movies kind
say
of-
this
Yeah,
was
We did.
maybe number 2. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But it, definitely top 5.
I think this was my number one.
Yeah, I think it was.
So this is going to be a positive review this time.
Yes, very positive.
For all three of us.
So, just starting it off, I love the beginning. Everybody loves the beginning.
Yeah.
That first scene. We did our top, was it 5 or top 10 opening scenes in horror?
I think it was top 5,
Yeah, we did that a while back, so you guys can go listen to that after you're done listening to this. And it was number 1.
And see where this...
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
okay. Man!
Well...
Joel was going to say, see where this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you don't need to watch that.
Well, there's 4 other ones, and
there are others.
I don't think we really repeated ourselves with them. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
We might have had like other one that was the same, but Scream definitely was in there. But yeah, the intro scene, that even before I had seen the movie for the first time, I had heard how it's like the coolest, like, opening to a movie and how scary it is. And
well, I mean, even when this movie came out, Drew Barrymore was a big deal.
Yeah.
So having her be in the opening scene, like, that's, she's like leading lady material. She's like, main character material, and then she's going to get killed off the first 5 minutes of the movie. So
yeah,
it was a big deal.
Right.
And was she a big deal at that time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
she's a child actress. I mean, she was in E.T. She goes way back to like the 80s, and
yeah, she's like the older sister in E.T.
She is?
Yeah.
Well, no, she's the younger
That's-
sister. She
the
was a
younger
little
sister.
girl
I
in
was
that
gonna
movie.
say.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She's the younger, not the older sister, the younger sister.
Yeah. And she goes back to like child, like And she was in other stuff as a kid too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
like
she
Wedding
was
Singer was
she got
after
bigger
this.
after the movie came out, but
Right?
what?
Wedding Singer, that was after this.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, way
Okay.
after.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Wedding Singer was like 97, 98, so like not way after, but
Yeah.
it was definitely a couple of years
That
after.
felt like a long
But-
time after. Um, yeah, she was in Poison Ivy before this.
Yeah,
I think
I
she was in,
remember watching it and not really. I mean, I was 9, so I don't really remember like thinking, "Oh my gosh, Drew Barrymore." I don't remember thinking that. But probably as an adult, you would.
Mm-hmm.
You would
Yeah.
think like, "Oh wow, they killed her off already." And she was on the poster, like the movie poster.
Yeah.
She was the like girl that was front and center. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
you would think she would be the star.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she
she's the
was
first person
in-
you see, so
Yeah.
She was in
entire
a
movie.
lot of stuff before this.
looking her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't even need to. It doesn't even have to be Drew Barrymore. Like that opening scene is just. It's scary,
Mm-hmm.
and just really well done with the whole phone call. And I always like when horror movies use phones as like a
Yeah.
a trope, I guess. Like when a stranger calls, Black Christmas.
Black Christmas. Yeah.
This one.
It adds an eeriness to it, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, it does help if the person on, like the killer on the other line, has one of those voices that just, you can't just have anybody just be on the other line.
Yeah, it can't just be a
You
random
gotta-
dude.
You gotta have the voice,
They're like,
that
hey,
certain
how's it
creepy
going?
tone.
Yeah. Hey,
You ready to die
I'm
today?
gonna kill you.
Yeah.
What's going on?
All right, well, come on over. Friendly tone.
Yeah. Well, and then you got a newer one, Malignant, had the phone calls too. And
Yeah.
that killer had a creepy
That one-
voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, okay. So overall, I love this movie. I do have a couple of negatives that I will talk about, but it's kind of nitpicky. But overall, you guys fans, yeah.
It's okay.
Major fan.
Yeah.
Wes Craven. So, a little background, actually. This was supposed to be a comedy. Originally, it was written called Scary Movie.
Scary Movie was the
Yeah.
original, yeah.
It was the original title, and it was kind of, Kevin Williamson was kind of thinking of more of a comedy direction for it. And
I can see that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
like
it's
dark
got
comedy,
the-
obviously.
yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. And it's got yeah, I mean the actors that they have for it like easily could have turned this into like a comedy. Like
Yeah.
Jamie Kennedy, he was not really known for. I mean, he wasn't really known back then for really anything. But like
He's a comedian.
nowadays for his for his career, he's more on the comedy side than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if he was doing stand-up back when this came out, because he was a comedian. Like, he did stand-up and everything, so...
Yeah.
And then you have, Courtney Cox. She was in Friends, a comedy.
Yeah.
David
Mhm.
Arquette. He's
Yeah.
mostly known for comedy.
Mhm.
Matthew Lillard. I don't think he's done anything serious.
Yeah.
He's probably I would say Randy is my favorite character,
Mhm.
but Matthew Lillard, Stu,
Yeah.
I enjoyed him on screen too. He's pretty wild.
And there's some backstory for that too, like some more. Wes Craven even said in like an interview that he never wrote the character to actually die, so like his character could potentially still be
yes.
alive.
Yes, that is the rumor going around for Scream 5.
For Scream 5, yeah.
That Stu
Which,
is still alive.
I mean, he was stabbed twice. He was already kind of like, he was
Dude,
kind of dying then.
Yeah.
And then he got a TV like dropped on his face. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Like electrocuted his face. I mean, I guess you could live.
Yeah.
But those TVs back then were heavy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, those tube TVs.
It was like 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big block TVs were pretty heavy back then. So, I mean, you get a flat screen dropped on your face, you could definitely live, but I don't know. Like, I don't really like that theory, but it'd be kind of cool to see him like come back.
Yeah.
Well,
But at this point, though, like somebody would have mentioned his name.
Yeah.
yeah.
If he was still alive somewhere. Like,
yeah, that's
well,
the thing is it's been so long that it's like, could they bring him back? Because like Dewey lives through so much.
He gets stabbed a lot in this series.
And so it's like, if he can live, then I could see how they could pull it off that he lives.
Yeah. Nobody has to know that he lived, though.
But he stayed in hiding all this time?
Yeah.
He's
a little more impulsive than that.
Yeah. He'd be in.
He's been going through rehab for the last 20 years. 30 years.
Is it Woodsboro? Like a small town, too?
Yeah.
No, it would be a huge stretch for him to.
You have to
even
have
be
some amazing writing to make that make sense at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I've looked at the cast, and he's not a cast member.
Well, I mean, would they spoil that?
Yeah.
For it? Maybe they're keeping that secret.
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool twist if
that would be
takes
cool.
his mask off and it's Matthew Lillard. Like, I'd be okay with that, but then you'd have some explaining to do. Like,
yeah,
where have you been for 20 years?
If they didn't put him in the cast and everything, and like you were legit like surprised,
yeah,
when it happened in the movie, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Scream, so
the way that
it's kind of not supposed to be taken super seriously in the first place.
Yeah.
So
what they could do to make it make sense, because I mean, Scream's always been like, for the sequels in the trilogy, like they poke fun at themselves for being a sequel and being a part of a trilogy. What they could do, I don't know if I heard that there's like been 5 scripts for this movie or something. Like they're really keeping so what I was thinking that they could do potentially is do what Halloween did and kind of make fun of that kind of thing with Halloween, and Halloween Kills be like a direct sequel to the original.
Right.
They could do this and have this one be a direct sequel to the original, so that it would make more sense that maybe they haven't talked about his character because 2 through 4 doesn't exist in this timeline.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. That's true. They wouldn't be able to mention anything from the other movies.
Yeah.
In this new one. I don't know. I hope they don't do that.
Well,
you don't need to get confusing with Scream.
Yeah. But I mean, that's I don't know how else they're going to be meta or whatever. Like, do the whole tropes that they've been doing since the first one, basically. They even did it with like Scream 4.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, that's just because that's the new thing that directors are doing these days is going, getting rid of timelines and just going to. So Scream could do that.
yeah. I can't really think right now what other way they could kind of poke fun at the horror genre.
Yeah.
Besides just being a 5th movie and that just being ridiculous, and usually if you're 5 movies in, your movie's going to be outrageous.
They're in space or something.
Yeah. So
we haven't gone to space yet. So.
No, they haven't gone there. So, who knows? I'm excited for it though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we have another kind of nod to horror is Billy Loomis.
Yeah, Loomis.
His name.
Yeah.
So Sidney Prescott's boyfriend, who is one of the killers, is named Loomis. So I thought that was cool.
And also, Wes Craven makes an appearance as the janitor in this movie.
Yes. Wearing
he's dressed. And his name is Fred in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's dressed up as Freddy Krueger. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. And then I like toward the beginning of the movie in that first opening scene.
Yeah.
She's Ghostface is asking her, what's your favorite scary movie and stuff. She says Halloween. And then she also says Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And then she says, just the first one. The rest of them all sucked or something like that. And we know he did not do the other sequels. Wes Craven.
He did one of them. But
he did New Nightmare. But that's kind of like its own thing. So, which he did that, like a year, maybe 2 years before.
Like 2 years before, I think. Yeah.
Before this one. So, some cool little things. Oh, also, the high school that they used, the actual high school, they weren't letting them at first use the high school because they said the movie was like too violent, too bloody. They didn't want to have it associated with their school. And so the way that they were able to get them to do that was saying that it was a comedy. Telling them like, oh, this is just a dark comedy, like it's not supposed to be taken seriously. And so then that's how they were able to get around it and film the movie there.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's you could say it's a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's,
there's some humor in it.
Sure.
I wonder if after the movie actually came out and they're like, this is not a comedy. What do you...
Right. But then they're like...
I feel like there's some lawsuits that could have potentially come up, but...
It was so successful.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I do think that it can definitely qualify as a comedy.
Yeah, you can make arguments for it.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, even Ghostface, I know he was like scary, but especially when you watch it like more than once, he's not scary. Like he's kind of goofy terrified. And like he's stumbling over stuff. He gets
there's like two teenagers under those disguises. So
the actual like him like in the movie isn't scary, but that face terrifies me.
Yeah,
like
costume.
I still don't like going out on Halloween because so many people still wear that.
Yeah. I wonder what that original mask was supposed to be because they just picked it up at a Halloween store. Like it wasn't some iconic like mask in the movie. Like it was just because there was those two, and then also there were a couple kids in the high school that ran around dressed up like that. So there was multiple costumes of this face. Like I wonder where that was originally supposed to have, like, what was that originally? Like today, I mean, obviously we can pinpoint it back to Scream, but in the actual movie itself, like what was that just like a mask of?
They had a bunch of other ideas for the mask too. There's a documentary in that's how I know these things. There's a documentary in the like box set that I have.
Nice.
Of all four. I think it's all four, or maybe just the first three. And they had all kinds of different designs for Ghostface until they found this one that was just kind of random, and they did kind of mess with it a little bit to make it a little more unique and a little, more iconic.
Yeah.
But it's not a very original mask. I think it's known for Scream now, but I could have swore I've seen that mask before the movie. Like as a costume, like just as like almost like a Reaper ghost kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I can see that. Like,
yeah.
you never
Similar.
really see the Reapers like a face, so it's it could just be, you know.
But yeah, maybe not exactly, but definitely similar look. And then they kind of made it their own. But yeah, super iconic mask and costume. So a criticism that some horror fans have for this franchise in general is the kills are not too creative. There really isn't a lot of. I mean, there is some gore, but you know, there's the weapon is just like this dagger. It's nothing like you know. When you're other slashers just have so many more outrageous kills. This one has the whole garage door.
I was gonna say, when they try to get creative, they get that, and it's like that's one of the more weak kills in this. There's no way that would actually happen. That's a weak kill. I'm sorry, but there's no way that would actually happen.
Do you like that one?
Okay?
That garage
there's
door.
So
would've...
many things in horror movies that there's no way things would actually happen. And this is the thing, though. I think that the basic kills that they do and the basic weapon and how they do just keep it very like realistic basic. Almost is that's what makes it that much scarier,
right?
Because it is so like real that one, they're like teenage boys like her friends, and he does stumble all over the place, so he's like just a regular guy.
Yeah. But that is also kind of those kills are realistic, which is what makes that garage door scene seem ridiculous. if all the kills were outrageous and ridiculous, then it's
that it wouldn't happen
because it would never happen. That basically that like killed her on impact. Like that garage door was not going very fast, and her weight would have pushed that garage door down. Like there's no way it would have worked out small. Like that. Yes, but she still weighs.
I mean, they had a really big house. Like that was probably a pretty hefty garage door.
Industrial strength.
Yeah, they got like the real stuff.
Yeah.
They weren't messing around.
I mean, yeah, it's over the top. It's kind of silly, but I always like that kill. I always, it's one of the more outrageous slasher kills for Scream. You always got to have that. But
and the movie didn't take itself too seriously.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah, and so that's kind of a nitpick, or some people have like an issue with that the kills are kind of boring over the franchise. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't really either.
What I like most about Scream is the horror, how it pokes fun at horror, and the mystery.
Yeah,
the whole like who's the killer, who could it be, and how it makes it look like it could be anybody.
Yeah,
people are always showing up after a kill, and it could all kinds of reasons for you to suspect everybody. So I always like that, and I remember as a kid like super looking forward to especially Scream 3 and trying to figure out who it was. And that was a thing in the 90s with I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, Valentine, I think that was 2000, but it had some of those whodunit horror slashers, and Scream was definitely one of the first, or at least most popular at that time. So those are the two things that I like about Scream.
Even the Faculty too had their whodunit kind of.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end you kind of get a reveal of the of the real main villain,
the alien.
Yeah.
My favorite, I think my very favorite thing about Scream is that it didn't take itself so seriously and was the poking fun at like my favorite scene is when Randy is like explaining the rules of a horror movie.
Yeah.
I just love you know the whole way that they played that out. And
yeah, me too. And he works at a video store.
Yeah.
And, like, his character is just awesome.
Yeah.
He is the one that brings the whole horror connection to the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is why you think of, or, you know, that people start looking at horror films and thinking like, oh, you know, you're not supposed to do that. There's these different rules and things like that. And
he should still be alive. That's
I wasn't going to talk about that until our next episode.
People have seen Scream too.
yeah, but I'm like that.
Yeah, it was
that was most devastating to me.
Yeah, big mistake.
Yeah.
So, and another thing I really like about this one in particular is the reveal. Of Billy and Stu. They're like a pretty crazy team. Billy, they both. Well, Billy has more of a motive. Stu's just kind of crazy. He's just, and that whole scene where they're stabbing each other to, you know, make it look like they were fighting the killer. That is just
couldn't have killed Sydney first before doing that, but you know, whatever.
yeah. Why? I never thought
Let's
of that.
weaken ourselves first and then try to kill her.
It's like they wanted her to see it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they wanted her to see, like, this is how we're going to get away with it. Like, you know, this is what we're going to do. And they're just, like, especially Stu, he gets, like, stabbed a lot.
Yeah.
He's like, losing a lot of blood over here, man.
I think I'm dying, man.
His acting is just so over the top, but like hilarious. So yeah, that whole reveal is good. There's some quotes of other horror films. Some references. That's good. I think doesn't Billy make a
he makes a Psycho reference.
Psycho reference.
Yeah.
And
we all go a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He makes a reference to Carrie with the pig, or no, not pig blood. Corn syrup, I think he says, for the blood.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. He's quote unquote stabbed in the bedroom, and then that's corn syrup that he used. So
that he used for the blood.
What they used in Carrie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie like a million times, and I easily could watch this multiple times a year. Like, it's just
it's fun.
this whole series, like there's some better movies, you know, obviously in the series, but it's a fun franchise overall.
Yeah. And to be 4 films in and still be really solid, there isn't too many that can say that, or any for that matter, that can say they had 4 straight films that were good. So but we will have some negatives to talk about, especially in the coming reviews.
There's one in particular that I'll definitely have some negatives, but it's still a fun movie overall. But
do you guys have anything negative to say about this one?
I guess figuring out who the killers were. I love that. I love that all 4 of these movies do that kind of thing. Starting with this one, but I don't like that it was Billy. Because he was too obvious in the entire movie. Like, he was just a creepy guy.
Yeah.
The entire movie. And it's like, okay, well, you could have figured that out the first time you saw him. That he was probably going to be the killer.
But they throw you off.
For him being arrested and then her still getting the phone call. Yeah, they do. But still, like, at the back, when it's revealed, you're still like, oh, okay. And she also was like in the bedroom before the unveiling. She was like, who'd you call? Like, for your first call.
Yeah.
And she even said, like, oh, you could have, called me to try to throw me off. Like, she even points that out to us before it's even revealed.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
And then, so he's back on the table again after that. Like, okay, that's true. He could have done that.
And then he gets stabbed, supposedly.
Yeah.
Right after that.
Yeah.
So it throws you off again.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. But, and I don't remember if I, even had any idea back when I first saw it, what was going on.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was
probably
to figure
still
it out or whatever.
I'd love that there was two of them though. Like
I think that's the bigger reveal is that it was a 2-person team, not just one person.
Yeah,
doing all of it, and then it makes more sense that some of the stuff would happen.
It's like, how could you be in 2 places at once? Like, okay, the other guy was doing
right.
Yeah.
And then the whole Drew Barrymore, the first scene, like her question was, which door am I at? Like they were both at the doors. I'm thinking like there was no way for her to guess right. At that. So that, that makes it make more sense. Cause it's like, okay, if she had actually guessed and there was only one, would you have really let her go? Like, after all that?
Yeah, that was like the final trivia or like the horror question or whatever.
The question for which door am I at? It's like, if she guessed, like, would you really have let her go? Like, if there was just one killer, but
right.
So I love that more than I love that Billy was one of the killers, like for sure. That there were 2 killers.
Yeah. I think that's valid.
It is kind of a nitpick. Yeah. Like it's still, I still liked that it was like the whole unveiling, but still wish it would have made more sense if Randy was one of them.
Yeah. Well, but so here's the thing. I feel like I see your point and I see how that could be an argument. I think that the argument against that is that the twist wasn't really that it was Billy, but the reason behind Billy's action.
Right.
Was kind of the twist in the end.
Right.
Because I think by the end, I feel like we all kind of still had in our head that it was Billy.
Yeah.
And we started figuring out that there was someone else too.
Yeah.
But his motivation, we never would have guessed.
Yeah. And that happens in Scream 3 too. And I definitely don't like it in Scream 3.
Yeah, there's just something about it that's just different.
Yeah, and I think it's the way it's pulled off. Like Billy, I feel like he's creepy about it, and his motivation is like it sounds so genuine.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's genuine.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, he sounds like a serial killer. With what he says.
And he looks like one.
Yeah, he looks super crazy.
Yeah, they could have made him seem less creepy throughout the entire movie if they're gonna unveil that it was him. Like, okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah, he was already creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, just some of the acting was,
Yeah.
Some of the acting.
Yeah.
I mean, there is definitely some scenes that were...
Yeah. Oh, and the Fonz makes an appearance.
Yeah. Literally an appearance.
Yeah, the principal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotta kill
that was
the principal, man.
Like,
that was super
why
random.
did the principal have to die?
Well, because
nobody was
they
really
didn't like
connected.
him. They're kids.
Everybody was connected, though, to some degree. I mean, I guess not really
Yeah. He was kind of, and he was kind of out of place as far as why they killed him. Yeah. And they do kind of make that point in the next movie, which we'll get into for sure, that it was a copycat killer.
Yeah.
They didn't mention the principal in like when they were, but so that one was kind of out of place and kind of weird. But,
and I feel
teenagers do hate the principal.
Exactly. It goes back to they're teenagers. Yeah. They are kids and they just lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I forget that because they're adults. Like they are actually adults.
Yeah, they are.
They're definitely
kids, they're definitely in their 20s when they did that movie.
Yeah. So I forget that part.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be in. It would have made sense if this one was in college, because I don't even think Neve Campbell was of high school age when she did this movie. But
no, I don't think so. Okay, so do you have any negatives?
I don't.
No,
I can't think. I mean, I can see how. Okay, if you think the acting, maybe the her best friend, she was kind of obnoxious.
Yeah,
but
Rose.
She was mean to Dewey. Like I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean it was her brother
whatsoever.
Though.
Yeah, but like still,
it was kind of funny though. Like he was trying to be this tough guy cop, and he was not.
Yeah.
Well, and she's like she sees him as her brother.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, like this dork.
But that's the thing is really in the end, no, it added some fun to the movie. I don't have, I cannot justify any negatives.
Yeah. I would say the acting, as far as, I'm trying to think of who, probably David Arquette. His acting was not the best. If I had to pick somebody, I would say him.
Yeah.
But again, I'm giving this a very high score. I want
his. Yeah, he's pretty much the reason that you could consider this movie a comedy. I think him and like maybe some of the stuff that Jamie Kennedy says, Randy, in the movie, and I do love that scene. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Going back to your favorite scene in the movie with Randy.
Yeah.
When he's by himself, they've all gone to see the principal at the school, like he was all hung up and everything. And he's just like sitting watching the horror movie still, the Jamie Lee Curtis horror movie. I don't think it was Halloween.
It was Halloween. Different. No, it was Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Yeah. And he's like saying, "Oh, look behind you, Jamie." Like, he's behind you, and at the same time, his real name is Jamie Kennedy, and the killer was behind him. Like,
I never
connected
that.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's funny.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he makes a comedy, but also Stu.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
And especially with how he ends up dying and everything, and like Danny was saying that. Yeah. I think I'm dying, man.
Yeah, and that was before a TV was dropped on his face.
Yeah.
Like, he was already dying there. Like,
and then the very end where, like they always come back,
Yeah.
So he's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
He like tries to do like a jump scare or something.
Back. Yeah.
One other thing that I thought was kind of cool, and I learned this trivia because of this movie. They're doing like the whole horror trivia at the beginning of the movie. The Ghostface is talking to her, and he says, "Who is the killer in Friday the 13th?" And it's, I think anybody who is not a avid horror fan would say Jason.
Yeah.
Because that's just...
Even if you're an avid horror fan, when you're fighting for your life... And
you're not thinking straight.
Then you're just automatically...
Yeah. Yeah, I might even say Jason. Because I might think, like, that's who they're looking for. They're not looking for, Mrs. Voorhees, because that's not what Friday the 13th is known for, unless you're talking about that very first movie. And so that was a tricky question.
It was definitely, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's no way that neither her or her boyfriend were going to live.
Yeah.
So that was his question. And it was meant to be a tricky question because even if she had answered Pamela Voorhees, he probably would have just said, no, that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, it's
Jason. He's the killer throughout the series. I mean, there definitely would have been ways of, even if she guessed right, like, no, you're not. He's not going to live. Yeah. And I love the dialogue. Like, no, that's the wrong answer. Like, his voice is so creepy.
Yeah.
Another part in this entire movie. I love that he's back for Scream 5 too. Like the voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool they got him back.
Another piece of the documentary talks about how this guy was actually on the phone with her, and she didn't know what he was gonna say.
Oh, really?
Or I don't know if she didn't know. I mean, she knew like the gist of
the
what
whole
was
scene. Was
happen.
Improvised.
she knew the gist of it, but she didn't know all that was going to happen. So it was a little more of a genuine reaction.
Yeah.
And I think I want to say the police was called during that scene because of just all the chaos that was happening at the home. I want to say
it was a real neighborhood.
Yeah.
I just filmed this murder scene in this like residential neighborhood.
So when the police come, it's like a real.
Yeah.
They see a girl like strung up from a tree. Like, oh, what's going on over
here? Yeah, and you know what's funny is the popcorn. For some reason, that is
the
like,
old school popcorn.
Yeah, like that's like a thing. I don't know. It's funny that stands out for this movie because that was in Scary Movie, the spoof. The whole popcorn thing was part of that. In Scream 2, it's used in the Stab movie, and I'm like, I mean, I know that it stands out, but why? It's popcorn. Like, it's not. I don't know. It's just funny that
these
like
days you use a
out.
Microwave. Like, it's you don't you don't use the actual like stovetop.
I mean,
to
even back then,
popcorn.
People, I would say,
normally
use a microwave.
But this is the thing. Back then, it was always so exciting if your parents got Jiffy Pop and you got to actually cook it on the stove and watch it blow up. Yeah. It was so exciting.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did that. So maybe
maybe that's why.
Yeah. It's always
You're
been
just
funny.
A couple years too
we
young.
like our radiation popcorn. Our microwave popcorn. I wonder if it actually like tastes different, like because
have you not had Jiffy Pop?
It's been years, like maybe the 90s since I actually had it.
Oh yeah, it's different. It is definitely
Maybe we'll get Jiffy Pop to sponsor us.
Oh, cool. It's more like the theater popcorn, from the popcorn machines.
Yeah.
It's like that, or like Amy Hardware popcorn from the popcorn machine.
That was a random story you just brought up.
Well, I didn't know if you knew what I meant by popcorn machine.
I know what a popcorn machine is. You could have just left with. You could have just stayed on theater. Like I know what. You don't go to a movie theater without getting popcorn, and they do have their machines. They don't have a bunch of like microwaves that they just.
But
put their
those
popcorn
ones
in.
that you have in your house, that like are like the small ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that was a good popcorn discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, let's grade this one. Let's rate it.
All right,
Katrina.
100%.
100%.
Wow. All right.
She didn't
say this is her favorite horror movie.
It's my number one, so it has to.
It makes sense that.
Okay. So there's no room for improvement.
No, you can't get better than Scream.
Okay.
It is the perfect movie.
Yeah.
Let's see if Scream 2 is anywhere near that.
All right. Joel, what do you got?
I'm trying to think because I think I gave Halloween a 95. I feel like I would give this one slightly higher than that. Okay. Even though I think Halloween was my number one, or this was I don't know. But I'm gonna give this one a 96.
Okay, cool. The year it came out.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go 95.
Oh man! All right.
The only reason why it's not higher than that is because it's not that scary. If it was a little scarier, then it would be higher. But 95, I love it. It's top 3, if not number 2 for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our review on Scream. Look for Scream 2, 3, 4, and 5
Scream coming in January. Yeah, Scream coming in January.
Yeah, check those out.
To a theater near you.
Yeah, check those out when they drop.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this has been Scare Time.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Dewey bite.
Right. Leaving ghosted.